Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Jay, and in today's class we're going to cover basically this last section for grade 10 math. And what we're going to do is the method of elimination, the application questions. Okay, so if you're going through this section, you'll notice that there are many different types of questions that the teacher expects you to know. Make sure you know how to do each and every of these types of questions. The teacher is just going to, for the unit test, pick maybe a couple of these questions, make sure they're kind of different. And I always make sure for the application questions, I use the elimination method, okay? And we'll go through a couple of examples and you'll see why the elimination method is much easier here, okay? With that, let's get started. Again, I am not going to pick any of these example questions from the textbook, okay? I know everyone has the textbook and you can actually go through these examples on your own. So I'm actually going to the practice page where there's a bunch of these word problems, and I'm going to pick a couple of the examples or a couple of the questions from here, and we're going to try that together, okay? So let's get started. I'm going to read the question out loud. We're going to write out the equations on the board and then try and solve the problem together, okay? So let's try this one. The girls' soccer team had held a fundraising car wash. They charged $5 for each car and $8 for each van, okay? And altogether, they washed 44 cars and vans, and they collected $262. And the question is, how many of each type of vehicle did they wash? Okay. Now, before I even come up with the equation, the first thing I want to do is write out the let statement. So let's do that. Okay. So I'm going to put let X represent. Okay. Let's put the number, okay, of cars. This is going to be for X. Okay, and again, I always just use the X and Y variables because it is much easier. You can use whichever variable you want, okay? And we're going to do let Y represent the number of vans, okay? So I have my let statement. Again, if the teacher does not see the let statement, a mark will be taken off, okay? So the second part is what we're going to do is find the equations here, okay? So one more time, they washed 44 cars and vans all together. So the first equation is X plus Y, okay, equals to 44, all right? And so the first equation when you do these type of questions is always just going to be X plus Y equals the total. Okay, so the first equation is going to be a simple equation. The second equation is going to be the one that's a little more complex, okay? So here you're going to look at how much they're charging. They're charging $5 for each car, so 5x. Okay, they are charging $8 for each van. So this is 8y. And altogether, okay, they collected $262. So in the second equation, it has to do with the actual money, okay? So these are my two equations. Now I don't want to do substitution, okay? Theoretically you can. But we are going to do elimination for these word problems, okay? And I'm going to show you it's actually very easy. So I'm going to take the first equation and times it by 5 and keep the second equation the same, okay? And what I always do is I want the x variable to cancel out. And I'm telling you, you should always be doing it like this with the method we're doing on the board. Just try and get the x variable to cancel out. So because in the second equation, I see that the x is 5x here. And the first equation is just x, and I'm going to multiply this whole equation by 5, okay? And the reason is, I know that the 5x will cancel out. And for these elimination questions, also, I always just subtract the two equations, okay? So remember again, for elimination, I can also add the equations. I think a lot of students get a little confused with the signs, so I wouldn't do that, okay? Just subtract the two equations all the time, okay? So the first equation is going to be 5x, okay, plus 5y equals, and again, I have to make sure I do 44 times 5, okay, so we're getting 220, like that. I'm going to keep the second equation the same, so let's just rewrite it here. So 5x plus 8y equals 262. I'm going to subtract the two equations just like I said because I know 5x minus 5x is equal to 0. Okay, so it cancels out here. Okay, and again, I'm making sure that I subtract everything in the equation. So this is negative 3y equals to negative, okay, 42. So it's really important that you are putting the negative signs here, okay? And the values you get for x and y should always be positive, okay? Again, if the value is negative, just go back and check your answer there, okay? And so we're going to just divide this by -3, okay, on both sides, so it cancels out. All right, and we're getting y equals to 14. Okay, are there any questions there? So you can see actually solving the equation is pretty simple, okay? The most important thing is I should be able to come up with my two equations, so I can use the process of elimination and find the values for x and y. So again, this is almost like the point of intersection, okay? But this is an application question, so x and y actually represent specific values. So I'm going to, so remember, I am not done there. I only have the value for y. I'm going to solve for the value of x here, okay? So again, I always plug it into the first equation because the first equation is just so simple. It's just x plus y equals 44, okay? And I can just plug in my y value here. So let's do x plus 14 equals to 44, okay? Then you're going to take the 14 to the other side. I'm going to change the sign and subtract it. So x is equal to 30, okay? So we're doing 44 minus 14. Okay, does everyone see that? Okay. So now I have solved for basically the x and y values. And again, I should make sure there is a concluding statement, okay, at the very end. The question is saying how many of each type of vehicle did they wash, okay? So let's write it right here. So they washed. So if I look at the x value, it represents the number of cars, okay? So I'm going to put 30 cars, okay? The y value represents the number of vans, okay? And they washed 14 vans, okay? So 14 vans. So most likely a question like this, okay, is actually going to be worth maybe 4 marks, okay? 1 mark is always for the let statement, okay? If you don't have that, the teacher will take a mark off. The second mark is usually you coming up with the right equations. The third mark should be you actually solving the equations properly using elimination here, okay? The fourth mark is usually given for the concluding statement. Now, there are some students who will write their concluding statement without looking at their let statements at the very beginning, okay? So some students might be like, they washed 14 cars and then 30 vans. That is wrong, okay? And the teacher will take off a mark for something like that. Okay, so make sure you're checking the let statement, okay? And then you're checking the concluding statement and make sure that they are reflecting each other. Okay, are there any questions here? Good. So you can see that basically it is very simple. Just make sure you are coming up with the right equation. Okay, so with that, let's try one more example here. Okay, so I'm going to take off just the equations. Okay, and let's keep the let statement at the top here. All right. So let's try a question that's slightly different. Okay, it's like one of those percentage questions. I'm going to read it out loud. And let's come up with the actual equations here, okay? So milk and cream contain different percents of butterfat. How much 3% milk needs to be mixed with how much 15% cream to give you 20 liters of 6% cream, okay? So what we're going to do here is we're going to do the milk and the cream, okay? So X is going to represent, let's put the milk. Okay, the y can represent the amount of cream, okay, that you're adding into this mixture. Okay, so we're going to do again the first equation. It's going to be the simple one. So x plus y equals to 20 liters. Okay, it says 20 liters of 6% cream. Okay, but the total amount of liters is 20 liters, and that's the total. So this is my simple equation here. And the second one is going to be because they're in percentage form here, make sure you're changing it to a decimal. So 3% milk, so I'm going to put 0.03x, okay? 15% cream, so 0.15y, okay, equals, and it says 20% of 6%, or 20 liters of 6% cream. So let's write it on the bottom. So 20 liters of 6%. Okay, so we're going to do 20 times 0.06. Does everyone see that? So 20 times 0.06. which is equal to 1.2. Okay, and again, if you don't do this step, your answer is going to be incorrect. Okay, so I have to remember for these, it's more of a like a mixture problem. Okay, because there are other questions as well involving mixtures of percentages, like you mixing chemicals together. All the questions are done the same way. Okay, so in the second equation, just don't forget to do this step. I'm going to just start over here. Okay, so now you can see I have my two equations. So again, we are doing elimination, okay? And I want to basically eliminate the x variable, okay? I'm going to take this first equation and times it by 0.03 and keep the second equation the same. So again, the reason I'm multiplying it by 0.03 is I see in the second equation, I have 0.03x. And again, I want to always subtract the two equations because it's much easier, okay? So let's try doing that. Make sure you multiply everything, okay, by 0.03. So 0.03x equal plus 0.03y. We're doing 20 times 0.03, which is 0.6. So this is the first equation now. Again, I'm going to keep the second equation the same. So we're just going to write it below it here. So 0.03x plus 0.15y equals 1.2. Okay, remember when you're writing down the equations, make sure everything lines up, okay? All the x's, the y's, and also like the values at the very end should line up and look very neat, okay? That way, even when you're checking your answer, I can always go back and check my answer really fast on a unit test, okay? So we're going to subtract these two equations, okay? So we're going to do 0.03 minus 0.15. Again, I can see that I'm getting a negative value. It's negative 0.12y, okay? 0.6 minus 1.2, so negative 0.6. So again, both sides are negative, and I can see that is fine because the two negatives are eventually going to cancel out. So we're going to divide it by negative 0.12, okay, on both sides, just like this, all right? And I'm solving for the value of y, okay? So 0.6 negative over 0.12. And again, make sure you are checking your answer, okay? Double check it. We are getting y equals 5, okay? And again, I want to plug it back in to solve for the value of x. And always just plug it into the first equation. Like I said, this is the most simple equation, okay? And I can plug it into the second one. I'll get the same answer, okay? But on a test or a quiz, I don't want to waste my time doing that, okay? So I'm going to plug it in here. So it's going to be x plus 5 equals to 20. Okay, we're taking the 5 over to the other side, subtract it. Okay, and let's just write it here. So x equals 15. Okay, and make sure you still show your steps. I can see this is a very simple equation because it's a mixture problem. All right, and again, I'm going to look at my let statements. Okay, so x represents the amount of milk. Okay, so this is basically 15 liters of milk that I'm plugging in here. And 5 liters is going to be the amount of cream, okay, that I'm using within my mixture, okay? It says how much 3% milk needs to be mixed with how much 15% cream to give you 20 liters of 6% cream, okay? So my therefore statement should be therefore 15 liters of milk needs to be mixed with 5 liters of cream, okay, to give you 20 liters of 6% cream. All right. So I know basically the wording sounds a little complicated, but when you actually solve the question, it's very, very simple. All right. I can see it's almost just like the previous example we did. And again, the only step we did here was for equation 2, as it's a mixture problem. Make sure whatever the second equation equals to is you multiplying the two values that they give you, okay? One will be the percentage. You're going to take the percentage and times it by the total amount. In this case, it was the total amount of liters, all right? And that's the only thing you need to add for these type of mixture problems. Okay, I hope everyone actually understands how to come up with the equations, because that is actually the most important step in order for you to solve any of these word problems, okay, and the application. Okay, so that looks good. And that brings this video to an end, and thank you for watching. I hope everyone enjoyed the content and you did learn how to actually solve these word problems, because it is very important. And thank you for watching one more time. And if you did enjoy the content, please make sure you're clicking on the like button below and subscribe to the channel. And I will see everyone next time. Thanks. Bye.